So, hey everybody, welcome to our first ever episode to our new segment called They Got Vision. They Got Vision is where we talk to individuals in the global community about that are doing a positive change in the community. And our first episode, we have Sara Hagos. Hagos?
Hagos. It's okay.
Hagos. Yeah, Hagos. Okay. Um, who started an initiative regarding mental health, right? And
Mhm.
so Sarah, you're a junior at the University of Boulder, Colorado Boulder, studying political science with a minor in ethnic studies and certificate in public health. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And at Boulder, you were given the opportunity to do civil engagement project where you started, your mental health journey and teaching others. Your mental health journey started before though. Like you told me that your family was really um, open and was different from a lot of immigrant families, different from my family in coming in understanding mental health, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. They are.
So like how that like I mean how what was different about like what was what helped in your family? What was the reason to like push you and make sure that like oh yeah your mental health is being taken care of instead of being ignored?
I think with my family, it was more of they were able to acknowledge the fact that mental health did have like an effect on your everyday life,
Yeah.
and that yeah. So basically that, but they didn't really know any resources, so it's not like they could help me with it or help themselves with it.
Yeah.
But it's just something that they knew could be really daunting, but
Yeah.
nothing they could help with. So it was like really typical at the end of the day with every other immigrant family. It's like prayer, like you'll be straight.
Yeah.
But aside of that, it's just like I get it. I see you, but
Yeah,
there's nothing we can do.
exactly. And like, so was it when you were in your family before you started college that you were interested in mental health, or was it like while you're in college and those resources open to you?
Yeah, so I knew that I've been struggling with my mental health like since high school,
Mm.
probably before that, but I never really took initiative to do anything about it. I think my friends played a lot of like a big role in like actually wanting to take care of my mental health and better myself and the people around me.
Yeah.
So it's really when I started college that I was like, okay, I gotta deal with this because coming into college, being a first generation student, I didn't have that guide that was going to tell me like this and this is gonna mess with your mental health and like really bring you down academically, socially, all of that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's interesting. Like you said, college. I mean, you went to Colorado Boulder, which is, people don't know about Boulder. Minorities are overlooked, I would say, right? And there's many, maybe not. I mean, I didn't go there, but I was going to. And I saw how like maybe there wasn't enough resources and things like that. So like, how do you wave your through? How do you make your way through into having those resources like open and available to you?
Yeah. So when I started college, I got this scholarship called Puxta Expenditure Fund. And basically, they're an organization that allows students to cultivate their own like civil engagement projects.
Hmm.
And it literally could be anything. It's just like, what are you passionate about? What do you think is gonna you can give back to the community efficiently? And they're really supportive. They have workshops where we talk about our mental health and this and that. So I think I started out knowing I wanted to do something with immigrants because I was like, they don't get enough attention
Yeah.
in this world. And then I think my sophomore year, I was like, okay, it's gonna be mental health because I realized how big it was in my life and how I could be a little like catalyst, I guess, of change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really dope. That's a great opportunity. And I think more than ever, we're living in a world where mental health is vital. Like, there's corruption,
Yeah.
there's the protests. There's also a lot of students going into school not understanding if they should go to school. Financial issues going on. So, you know, where like you had a survey that went out, And some of the questions were like, were you ever, did your family ever go through mental health resources, therapy, things like that? Um, what were you trying to, get from the gist of the survey? Um,
Okay. Yeah. It was like a outreach thing, so I just wanted to see if people even wanted the help, honestly, if they had received the help. And the responses were really like, it was honestly heartbreaking, especially the written portion of my survey. A lot of people want the help and they know the resources are out there, they just don't know how to go about it.
mm,
And I was like, I don't know, that was just, yeah, it was heartbreaking. So, but I think the first question was the acknowledgement of intergenerational trauma,
yeah.
because I think a lot of people don't know that their mental health can stem from their parents, their grandparents, their journeys here, and all of that. So, for the majority, I believe it was like almost 50-50 that they did, and they did it, and it was like 200 responses. So, that's a lot of people that didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So, that was crazy. And I think that really just set the tone for what I'm trying to do now. So it's like, okay, we need to like become more educated about where our problems are stemming from, because it's not only an individual thing, it's always about our environment and like our just yeah, our lineage, honestly. And find resources that accommodate to that.
And so is your plan first to start in Colorado or in like Aurora and build your network through there, through your own communities, like the Ethiopian community, the African community, and then just deepen like that? Is that the plan right there?
Yeah. Initially, I was actually supposed to do the survey I put out just in Ethiopia.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but since Corona, I had to accommodate. I had to switch it around. So I was like, let me just do what I know. So that was Colorado, but mostly everyone I have on social media is typically from like Denver metro area.
mm,
So probably start there, hone in on the African community
yeah.
because that's what I relate to, and then branch out because a lot of the people that did reply weren't African. Like we
Oh,
all
really?
go through similar things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of Hispanic people. Um, so I want to be able to offer them resources as well, but really hone in on my community.
Yeah. Okay. And why do you think it's so important to like bring in mental health, like a discussion in the African household? Like why? Like I mean, you know why, but like like what is to people that don't understand? Like they're like, what's the difference between an African immigration household than like a black household or any other household?
I think that, especially people, Africans who have immigrated to the United States, came in with nothing,
Mm,
and they, let alone have like health, like resources for their like physical health,
mhm.
they were oblivious to mental health. And I think everything is like really culturally rooted. So back home, they're not going to be like, okay, go see a doctor because you're feeling anxious, like, or if they even acknowledge the anxiety, depression, stuff like that exists, it's typically always prayer. I'd like to say throughout African households, regardless of what religion you practice.
Mm.
So I think even opening like the narrative of seeking mental health treatment is really hard for African parents
Yeah,
to accept. So yeah, it's like because everything is also super like westernized in medicine.
yeah,
So it's like, how is that gonna help me? Like, it's not accommodating to like these spiritual practices we have to like that we believe that are gonna help us with our mental health journeys. So it's like,
yeah, yeah,
I just open the conversations hard.
yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think like I mean, I'm the oldest in my family, like the siblings, and I think whenever like we were just oblivious up to like I'll even say like my senior year of high school what like mental health was, even myself, just because like I didn't have the environment where like oh stress and depression is real, and don't just pray to God, like there's other solutions, but I think families just don't know like how to really communicate. I think communication is a big issue in the household of any African community.
Yeah.
how do you even start that? How do you, like for people that are, really going through it right now, which is a lot,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to them, like in navigating the conversation between their parents who just are so ignorant to mental health?
Yeah. I think personally, I think with me, I had to really just be bold with it, I guess. Like, this is happening. You can see me, like, not only I'm telling you, like, my mental health is deteriorating, but it's having a physical effect on me. You can see me, like, shaking or, like, whatever. So it's like, I need you to acknowledge this, and I need you to try, like, do what we can as a family unit to help me, to help ourselves as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But for those people where those conversations don't work, where it's honestly, because I understand it's so hard to talk to your parents about anything like that, it's like having that external family. Like I said, for me, like my friends were really the ones who got me into like taking care of my mental health and this and that. So it's like starting with the people you trust to have those open conversations with,
Facts.
and then integrating it into your family, I guess, because sometimes it can't start with them because they don't know how to communicate the way that we want them to communicate nowadays.
Yeah.
So bringing that, you being like that catalyst of change in your household,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard, obviously, because if you're suffering, it's like, why do I need to do all this work for me to feel better? But yeah.
Yeah, friends, and I like friends are, I think, number one priority. Like people really reach out to, they tell their friends everything, and they don't tell their family anything, which is the unfortunate part. But like that's just the way the world, or our world, is.
Yeah.
How do you think? Do you think mental health, like the awareness, is getting better? At least, do you think people are like, okay, at least understanding from like just the individual perspective, like, oh yeah, yeah, like mental health is real, depression is real. Popping
Mhm.
pills ain't the ain't the right way. Smoking it away ain't the right way. Dancing it ain't the way. Like, there's actual real solutions. Do you think that's going on right now?
I think that there's most definitely more awareness. It's just the intake of that, it's like it's going through one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Like, and I think especially being like college students, like it's very easy to fall into those bad habits. It's like, why do I have to deal with it when I could just like I could, like you said, like pop pills or smoke or dance or drink or something like that. And that's with everyone because that's how people deal with mental health concerns. They do something that is going to make them forget or feel better for temporary things. So I think there has to be we there needs to be some sort of like pushing factor that people realize like, okay, I can't push this off forever, because some people do that and they tend to be miserable for a lot of their lives.
Mm.
So I don't know, whatever we can do to break that barrier that makes people realize like, oh, I actually need to deal with this, I need to put in the work. And I think that that's a big thing with life in general. Like, for instance, we're getting our degrees, like we need to put in the work, like we're not just gonna get there.
And we just
Yeah.
we got to put in the work for our mental health. And I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
popping pills is, I think like right now, we've seen in our own community that like people are dying off this, of just overdosing and things like that, or just not knowing what they're doing and pushing their limits, their body limits, their physical, especially this younger generation, that's just like in high school, and it's getting to the middle school. Like, I mean, I think when we were in high school, shit wasn't like that.
No,
I
yeah.
already,
And that was like what, 2, 3 years ago?
yeah, and it's so rapidly, changed, and I get worried that like, especially in this pandemic that we're living in, people are freaking out. People are obviously opting out of freshman year and trying to at least live a little. But how do you live a little when the whole world is shutting down? So
Yeah.
you said you had a when I was reading your thing, um, your survey, you also had some several trial and errors in conducting your own mental health, right? Looking for the right
Mhm.
research and finding the right resources. How do you like make it to say like, okay, like this is the right resource, this works for me? I mean, it takes time,
Yeah.
but like that's the frustrating part, right?
Yeah. Um, I think the go-to is always like go to therapy.
Yeah.
Like that is like number one for a lot of people, or at least like the narrative when it comes to mental health, and that's hard for people. It was hard for me because I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I could deal with this or whatever.
Mm.
But especially going to Boulder, they have this office. It's called CAPS, which offers like therapy for the students, but it's being a person of color, it's trash. Like
That's,
there's no like cultural competence, like any of that. So it's really useless if you
yeah.
ask me. But yeah. So I think that was the beginning of my trial and error stages. And then I started journaling and like vlogging, you could say. I just recorded myself talking on my laptop, and I think that worked for me. Um, but then there's times that those don't work for me, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like,
Mhm.
why would I keep doing something that I don't think is working at the moment? So it's really just like keep you have to keep at it. It's like if you're not persistent, it's not gonna work. Because like we were talking about earlier, like it's all about putting in the work.
Mhm.
And in order to be able to put in the work, you have to acknowledge that there's something wrong to begin with, which is a struggle in itself.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's literally like trial and error, which sucks because it's like there's resources out there for us to use, but they're so hard to find, or they're unaffordable, or they don't come in like the languages we speak. Like there's just a lot of barriers, and we have to like find a way to make it more accessible in general.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
No, no, no. I mean, I definitely like it's is I feel like it's just a question mark. Like there's solutions that work for people, like exercise and working out, and things like that.
Yeah,
But there's journaling and talking to yourself and making like a close knit group, to talk about what's going on in your lives. But sometimes that doesn't even fall through. And yeah, it's a tough thing. But you brought up like black therapy. I think it was just this year I was just understanding like wow it's different to talk to a black person or someone that comes from the community than to most therapists, especially at the universities we have are white or
mhm.
not of our skin tone. So like so to people like I've had debates with people that still don't understand what's the difference in having like just a black therapist where because people are like oh if they're a good therapist they'll know what to how to talk to you, they'll know how to
Yeah.
help your depression. What do you
Mm.
think like is the significant difference in having a person of your color talking to you and helping you out?
I think that I think about this like in everyday settings. I'm like, I'm living my life this certain way, and this white girl right next to me is living a completely different reality. Like, she's not worrying about the things I'm worrying about. She's not scared to be alive.
Mhm.
Like, so I think that applies with therapy. So it's like this person that I'm talking to has never experienced what I've experienced. They will never experience what I'm experiencing. They might be trained in like that cultural competency or whatever. They might think that they know what we're going through, but the fact that they will never experience it gives them this sort of like there's this disconnect between you and your therapist.
Mhm.
So having that person similar to you, like that they know what you're talking about, it gives you that assurance, and like maybe even helps you open up more to how you're actually feeling instead of like accommodating to their ear,
Yeah,
you could say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Experience is I think the number one notion. Like, but what's funny is, what do you think it's possible for like to talk to a black person or someone from within your own community and they still don't experience what you're going through?
Yeah, for sure. I think it has a lot to do with learning and unlearning,
Mhm.
because a lot of us as Black people, as African people, we have so many like of these, I don't know what to say, like stereotypes in our head.
Yeah.
Like we, I don't want to say we play into it because it's like we didn't ask for it. Like I don't know.
Hmm.
But I think there's some things that not everyone will understand, and that's also just being human. Like if they don't experience it, they don't experience it, but there's more of that. At least you know that in a general sense they know what you're going through. Or there could be like people who are just really oblivious
Yeah,
and live their life like that. So
that
it's like,
that privileged. I think a lot of
yeah,
immigrants, even when we're talking about like just the Black Lives Matter protest or the injustices that we see. Some of us just like, oh, it's happening, but it's not happening in my neighborhood. It's not happening to my
yeah,
people. It's happening on that side. Black people, and that's comes from
yeah,
parents. Because parents are very ignorant. They're also in some ways kind of racist. It, that's another discussion, though. I don't want to get into that right now. But
yeah.
so your next plan, you did a survey. What's next? What do you and given the situation that we're living in this world, I'm pretty sure things have halted, things have been paused. So what are you trying to do next? Given the whole Corona thing.
Um, I think that I need to one, I don't think that survey was enough. I feel like it just got a gist of things.
Okay.
So I need to most definitely look into doing more outreach and like collecting information so I could really get a sense of what people want.
Mhm.
Because I feel like I got a lot of broad ideas, but it's hard to work with broad ideas.
Mhm.
Um, but ultimately, especially if Corona is still going on, probably hold a few like Zoom conferences with professionals that I could hopefully get in touch with
Mhm.
and just get their expertise, make people feel a little bit more secure to know that these people are in their area, they're available, and offer content, offer like these resources in different languages, so that not only because we as first gens or diaspora whatever we understand English well, but that doesn't go for our parents because I don't want this to be just for us. I want this to be a generational thing so that we could break these cycles. So yeah, so for right now, it's looking like Zoom conferences.
Yeah, yeah. Zoom is on the way. Um, yeah, and I mean, I like the part where you talk about parents seeking therapy because, our parents might be 40, 50, 60 years old. And we might like, oh,
Hmm.
their life is, it's going and they're good. Like if they got through this far, they'll get through the rest. But I think
Hmm.
parents also go through so much things. They don't even understand what they're going through. They don't even can't comprehend like, oh, this is stress. This is
Yeah,
anxiety. This is depression. It's just like, oh, I'm just sad. I'll be better the
yeah.
next day. I'll pray a little. We'll be fine. Um,
Hmm.
so, I mean, you bring up a really good point. And different languages, like, all these things are very necessary. I just wanted to ask you uh, regarding like the situation that we live in. What do you think are easy, like simple ways to start like your journey in mental health? What's just like how do you start at least before diving in?
Hmm.
Like, do you diagnose yourself? Is there such thing
Hmm.
as I'm not a I don't I'm a journalism major, so I have no idea. I'm trying to understand for myself. So can you
Yeah,
self-diagnose yourself, or do you have to go seek someone professionally and say like, this is what's going on in my life? I can't sleep, I can't eat, or something like that. I have weight loss.
yeah.
So yeah, how does someone start?
Um, I do think you can self-diagnose. I don't think to the T,
Mm,
but like if something's wrong, if anyone's gonna know it's you. So I think it's acknowledging that because like we could feel sad and like scared or whatever it is, and we could just write it off as those plain emotions when really there could be a deeper issue.
mm,
So it's like really paying attention to your body and your mind, like is this consistent? Like when does this happen? Like what how else is it affecting me in my life? Is it affecting me like spiritually, like culturally, all that stuff?
mm,
And I think taking the time to like take note of the little things like that in your life can eventually help you realize like, oh, maybe I do need help.
yeah.
And then being at home, like we have the time. We have a lot of time to like really get in tune with ourselves and address these problems, whatever way that may be. Because I feel like we were talking like the default earlier is to do things that are detrimental to ourselves, like drink, smoke, whatever. But maybe try something new. And if that is prayer for you, then you pray on it. If that doesn't help you, move on, you keep trying. You can journal, you can meditate, do yoga, like just like researching those practices. And with us, we have the advantage because like we can navigate the internet and like find these things that might help us, but we also not to like I don't want to say a burden, but like share those resources with the people we love, like the people around us. So it's not only you bettering yourself, but like bettering your family.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I think I just keep saying trial and error, which it is,
But it is, yeah.
until you come to a point where you're ready to receive that professional help or that professional diagnosis or whatever that is
Yeah.
for you.
I mean, yeah, like I feel like, I mean, for me personally, I got into like meditation. And then whenever I
Mhm.
bring that into somebody, like, my guys, they would be like, oh, bro, come on, what are you talking about? Meditation and like energy and
Yeah.
all of this. So, like, do you still think, like, I have a question regarding your survey. Did you get a gender, like a high, women response, low male, or was it equal, or what was that like?
Uh, I didn't ask gender. That would have been smart though.
Uh, do you think there's a
But
gender difference?
I do. I do think women are more open to receiving these treatments, or at least taking the first step.
Yeah.
And I don't think that men are not receptive. I think it just takes a little bit more to break past like these societal barriers in their head. Like, nah, like we can't. What you mean mental health? Like I'm straight.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I talk to anyone about mental health, I'm always talking to women because
Hmm.
guys, in my environment, at least in my circle, don't understand.
Hmm.
Or just like, bro, just take some time off, go relax, take a flight, go and like that's the solution. It's financial solutions instead of like actual permanent solutions. Um,
Hmm.
the last thing I just want to say is that like what do what do you like what do you need, I think, from like the community? I mean, what is the frustrations that like you've had when you conducted the survey? Do you think there's going to be extra frustrations in finding your answers? Like what do you hope to achieve in the next couple of months?
Hmm. I think it's I think for the most part the community can be supportive of things like this,
Yeah.
especially like the Habesha community. Like I could see them being supportive of this. It's just taking the time to actually participate, I guess.
Mhm.
Like if I, per se, like I hold an event or something, like a year out or something, like are you still gonna be interested?
Yeah.
Like, is this really something that you yourself want for you? Um, is it something that I don't know? I think it's all about support because support is probably what's gonna keep me going. Like if I'm not feeling supported, I'm gonna be like, then what's the point?
Hmm.
So yeah,
But I mean, yeah, I would
yeah.
like. I mean, right when I saw that survey, I was just like, "Oh, this is needed, bro." I don't know why. It took some time for people to like realize, and you're really pushing us out there because this is important, I
Mm-hmm.
think, and more than ever,
Yeah.
with all the tension and the stress that we're dealing with each and every day, therapy and mental health, at least to start the discussion, to start it is needed. And I just had this question in my head, but um, forgetting it. Oh, like your parents. Did you reach out to them regarding the survey? Did you get like older in the youth, or was it like just Twitter, your followers, and people around your social media?
I asked a few of my aunts and stuff and my parents. I didn't like write down their responses or anything. I just wanted to start the conversation.
Yeah.
And with my parents, it was like what I already know of them because I live with them.
Yeah.
So like they're supportive. They're just like, is it like they don't realize that like the weight of it, I guess,
Hmm.
how important it is. But I can see their support, which gives me hope because I'm like, okay, now you tell your friends and their friends, and then maybe we could get some weight on it, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe it can gain the importance that it needs.
Yeah, especially if you have like, parents supporting it, then you won't be like, oh,
Mhm.
these children, that's the answer we mostly get is like this generation. So
Yeah,
sensitive. So, they want to cry about,
no
stuff.
backbone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
just deal with
I came here with nothing,
Yeah. Oh
and
my God.
fine.
Yeah, I think that is such a huge issue. I think like we think about it like, oh, these parents they just don't understand, but it's such a like outcry where like parents are talking about like, oh, our differences versus their differences, and I think they're both significant. Like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
you have to walk to school. Maybe you've milked the cows. That's my parents. But like,
yeah.
yeah, we have everything here, but materialistic, I think parents don't understand. Materialistic doesn't really mean anything to this generation. Like you can have it all, but you can still go through it. So yeah, that's vital, man.
Yeah,
And here at
for
like,
sure.
yeah, 2020 Vision, we really respect that. And if there's anything we can do, for you, when this video does come out, we could link that survey,
Mhm.
make sure that it's everywhere, because we have people around, some audiences around the world, just a little bit. So we can help out, and just keep pushing. It's gonna be tough.
Mhm.
You're entering the no. Not a lot of Africans they've stepped through it for sure, but it's very hard to come out of it, especially
Yeah.
regarding mental health. So keep pushing. I really thank you for joining our conversation today and
Mhm.
being giving us the time. I'm pretty sure school's about to start, and things are a little hectic, but thank you so much. It means a lot. And like I said, let us know if we can do anything on our part. And yeah, thanks for being the first person to be in our new segment.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Like that's what we're trying to do. Like anybody that's doing something positive, we need a lot of
Mhm.
positivity in this world, a lot of spread. So that's the point.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. And we'll be giving out your contact information for people that reach out. Um,
Mhm.
thanks for tuning in, and yeah, have a great day.
You too.